Hello students, today's topic of this video lecture is on mitochondria. Mitochondria is a double membrane bound organelle found in cytoplasm of eukaryotic cells and is responsible for the conversion of nutrients into energy molecule ATP to fuel the cell activities. The function known as aerobic respiration is the reason mitochondria is frequently referred to as the powerhouse of the cell. Now, the origin of mitochondria. Mitochondria are derived from bacteria by a process termed as endosymbiosis and is about 2 billion years ago when a bacterium fused with an archaeal cell or stabilized a symbiotic relationship with primitive eukaryotic cell. There are 6 steps involved in this endosymbiosis. Number one, prokaryotic cells membrane folded into cytoplasm, and then nuclear membrane, endoplasmic reticulum, and Golgi body are now independent of external membrane. Ancestor eukaryotes engulfed but did not kill prokaryote, and the prokaryote survived inside the eukaryote and each evolved a dependence of each other. In the ancestors of algae and land plants, photosynthetic prokaryotes were engulfed but not killed. And in the last step, the cells evolved dependence on each other. Multiple independent symbioses led to different algal groups. Let's talk about the structure of mitochondria. Number 1, outer membrane. Number 2, inner membrane. Number 3, intermembrane space. Number 4, matrix. And number 5, cristae. Each mitochondria is bound by 2 highly specialized membranes. The outer membrane is composed of about half lipid and half proteins, contain porins that render the membrane permeable to molecules having molecular weight as high as 10,000 daltons. The outer membrane of mitochondria is similar to the outer membrane of gram-negative bacteria and is smooth, unlike the inner membranes. The inner membrane is much less permeable than the outer membrane. It has 20% lipid and 80% proteins. The surface area of inner membrane is greatly increased by a large number of foldings, like projections called cristae, cristae that protrude into the matrix or central space, increasing the surface area for the complexes, and it contains the complexes of the electron transport chain and the ATP synthase complex. The space in between the two membranes is called the intermembrane space, which has the same composition as the cytoplasm of the cell. The inner membrane encloses a space filled with a fluid called matrix, or the space between the cristae called the inner chamber is filled with a gel-like material termed as mitochondrial matrix. It contains proteins, lipids, some ribosomes, RNA, 1 or 2 DNA molecules, and certain fibrils, crystals, and dense granules. Now the cristae, the inner mitochondrial membrane bears plate-like foldings called the cristae. They extend inwards to varying degrees and may fuse with those from the opposite sides, dividing the mitochondria into the compartments. Now let's talk about the function of mitochondria. The most important function of mitochondria is to produce energy. The mitochondria perform most important functions such as oxidation, dehydration, phosphorylation. During biological oxidation of the carbohydrates and fats, large amount of energy is released which is utilized by the mitochondria for synthesis of energy-rich compound known as ATP. As mitochondria synthesize energy-rich compound ATP, they are also known as powerhouse of the cell. The mitochondria also helps in building certain parts of blood and hormones like testosterone and estrogen. The mitochondria also play an important role in the process of apoptosis or programmed cell death. Abnormal death of cells due to the dysfunction of mitochondria can affect the function of organs.